Welcome to my talk, Feeling Vibrations. I called it that because throughout my time making all my games, there's a lot of abstract things about games that I want to talk about and share my experiences with, and hopefully, someone here can take something away from that. So welcome to the talk. So my name is Jord Farrell. Online, I release all my games under the name Mr. Tedders, and some of those games are games like this, Anima and YOLO. They're games about death, because I am joyous like that. So I'll have a game about a box, Media is Dead, You're Alive, is about the internet, and The Tower is a game about perseverance. Lover is about love. So I've made a broad spectrum of games, and so let's get into it. One of the most important things to me is to make games that are very interesting, and there's something interesting about them that someone hasn't seen before or encountered before. And along my journey, I've tried to make a lot of unique mechanics and tried to add on something new to like an action game with something new that no one's ever seen, or a puzzle game in a totally new direction. But after a certain point, that started to become really difficult, and I wasn't sure exactly how to go about making new things, and I got really stuck. And then I realized there was a totally different direction I could go in to approach making new things. So let's, bring up a game. We got anyone here, no matter your skill level, in an afternoon with tutorials, could make this game. But let's say you wanted to make something unique about Pong, something no one's ever seen before. What would you do? Pong's been done a million times. It would be really difficult to come up with a totally new take on it. So what I decided to try and do is, instead of trying to add on top of something to make it unique, what if you took away things? What if you added a negative space? And what would happen if, let's say, in Pong, we took away the score? So no more score. What is this game now? It's Pong, but it's missing something. You know that no one's really going to engage with this in the way they would have before with the score. So what do you do? This is where things become interesting, is because what do you do allows you to explore things that are possible outside of the foundations you thought were already set in stone. And the way you take it is totally different. It's totally up to your, unique individual being. But me being me, I like to do things with shaders, so I invert one side. I don't know why. And let's add something else. What about a game about death? Because I like to do that. And it was just a stupid, silly little thing. But as you can see, I don't really know any other games of Pong about life and death. So if you're ever stuck trying to figure out how to add something new to your game, a good idea might be to try and take something away and see what happens if you try to fill that void. So, as anyone who's made games knows, that sometimes we'll try and implement an idea and it just doesn't work out. And we all know it's perfectly fine, but maybe for some newcomers to the scene, just to let you know, it's perfectly okay if you're the lady at the top and you put something into your game. It's just not, you try it out and it just doesn't really jive with you. You're not having fun with it, and it's okay to take it out and to try something new. And generally, if you're the lady at the bottom, you're happy, you're having fun, engaging with the game, then that's probably a good direction for you to go. Really, basic idea, but it's very important, I think, anyway, to keep in mind. So something I also started to realize as I was making a lot of games is that I used to be really meticulous with my plans on what I wanted my game to be like, where I wanted my games to go, my giant story, or my million mechanics that I thought up over a night. And sometimes, well, not sometimes, but almost every time, your game isn't going to end up working out the way you think it will. The reason being is the moment you start playing a game, you sort of start to, when you play with it, you find things engaging about it and things not engaging about it that you weren't aware of when it was thought. Because you can make things as interesting as you want in your mind, because you can always iterate instantly in your head, and it's super easy to do that. But when it comes to the reality of making games, certain things don't work out that way, and you sort of have to deal with the reality of the situation. So things, won't work out that way. So let's say I'm gonna make a game about capitalism, because I have that on the brain, and I want to make something that speaks to the people and wakes people up, or something like that. What would I do? So I have this giant idea of a huge story and all these things that I think might be good to put in this game. And where does capitalism start? But with money. So we have little coins that you can just pick up. But then, now that I'm engaging with this game, I'm starting to realize, okay, I'm picking up things, and I can tell my whole spiel about capitalism, but this isn't really engaging. What could I do to make it more engaging? What if I add walls? Cool. This isn't exactly what I was expecting, but it's something. There's more to it, but still missing something. What about, a little box that you have to capture the coins with, and it's turned into this little puzzle game about coins, and it's not exactly about capitalism, and this is a bit of an exaggeration, but my whole point here is that as you play your game and see what it is and what you can do with it and what might be interesting to do with it, you'll start going off the path that you had set out for yourself, and it's perfectly fine. But it is, a reality of just how things will go while you're making games. It's good to be aware of that and not fear not knowing where things are going to go. A little bit free, actually. Yeah. So this is about if, as anyone here who's engaged making games, you'll sometimes reach a problem and you won't know exactly what to do going forward. Like maybe you're a designer and you have a design problem and you just don't know how to make things work, or you're a sound designer and just something isn't quite coming together in the way that you thought it might. Something that I've learned is sometimes you can't find your answers in just the discipline you're in and of itself. Because let's take the sound designer example. Maybe something you're trying to get across will be better suited if you talk to an artist, or maybe you are the artist, and you offload some of what you're trying to communicate to another part of the game. And, or maybe you're a designer and something would be better communicated through art than just pure level design. So, yeah, that's kind of my whole point actually. It's just, if you're stuck, don't be afraid to look outside of that particular discipline that you're stuck in for the answers, because you never know where your answers may come from. Cool, play more. This is actually really important, which is, and I'm almost certain, I really hope everyone here does it, but play your games. The game you're making, play it a lot, and be honest with yourself in how that game makes you feel and how you feel about it. I can't stress that enough. Is you're making a game, those are things you play. So if you're not playing your game, you don't know what your game is, because you only know what a game is when you actually play it. And this point actually also has other implications, such as if you, going back to the other point of having the idea of the game in your head, even when you have this crazy, amazing idea of what is possible, what you could do with your game, you still don't know exactly what that game is until you play it. Let's take, you're watching someone on YouTube play a game versus actually playing the game. You know those two experiences are completely different, watching versus playing. So imagine a thought that is way more fuzzy than watching someone play versus actually playing the game, and hopefully you see what I'm trying to get at with this. Yeah, play your game, play it a lot. You'll find out what it's about. And expand your palette, right. Something about making games is that it's, like any art form, is very expressional, and you are putting as much of yourself as possible into that game, hopefully. And something I've learned throughout my time making games is the more I've experienced, the more things I've gone out of my comfort zone to do or experience, the richer my games have become. Reason being is I feel that the spectrum of things that you feel when you broaden that, when you have all these different feelings to draw from and to put into the game and try to capture, you start creating things that are very rich in your own life. You're the soil that the game grows out of. So yeah, as much as possible, try and enrich yourself, because it's only gonna help your games even more. Yeah, I went really fast, but I'm actually done. So.